Hey, what's up, everybody? It's BDF44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I'm watching highlights of a couple games. Haven't seen highlights of everything just yet, but I will mention a few things that I saw from the two games that I saw highlights from. So here we go. All right, the first game I watched highlights on was the Charlotte Hornets versus the who did they play? Yeah, no, that wasn't. I'm sorry, it was not Charlotte. Forgive me. It was Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Memphis Grizzlies. That's the squad I want to talk about. First of all, John Moran looks amazing. John Moran was dunking the ball left and right. It seemed like every time he tried to go down the lane, he was just able to do whatever he wanted out there. He looked fantastic. Jaren Jackson was hitting his shot, blocking shots, doing things that Jaren need to do, looking great out there. Memphis Grizzlies as a whole looked really good. Brandon Clark looked good. They just had a nice outing out there for the start of their season. On the Cleveland side of the game, we saw some really good things out of Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. Those were the guys that stood out for me right away. That length is going to prove to be a problem in the Eastern Conference. Evan Mobley's facilitating ability and his basketball IQ, coupled with his length, just makes him absolutely impossible. Um, I saw some plays out there that gave me some Twin Tower memories, some Powell and Bynum memories with him, with Allen and Mobley out there. I just really, really love the idea that tenure, and then you add Markkinen to play the three. It just looks really good to me. I never dreamed Markkinen was look as good playing the three as he does with Cleveland, but they've just struck gold with putting him in that position and seeing if he could run it, because now you have 3 7-footers whose skill sets all fit with one another in that starting lineup. It's just a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing they figured out. So now that they have that, I don't see any reason for the Cleveland Cavaliers not to be a better team this year and maybe even vie for a playoff position. But early on, of course, they're going to have to work the kinks out and figure out, all the things that they're going to have to figure out for their team. But I was encouraged going on the road, going into a Memphis situation where Memphis looked really, really fired up. They're a good team. I thought what I needed to see out of Evan Mobley, particularly, was exactly what I saw. Um, a little bit of everything, both defense and offense, and making sure that his passing ability was felt on that team right away. All of that was evident. I was super happy as somebody who's watching Evan Mobley closely. So that's what I wanted to mention about that particular game. Now, the Knicks and the Celtics, I haven't seen highlights from that, but I did catch a brief look at, I think it was the second overtime, and they were hitting threes left and right. That looked like that was a phenomenal game. Julius Randle went off. Jaylen Brown went off. Evan Fournier's debut with the Knicks was fantastic. Um, that's a game I'm looking forward to seeing more highlights on. These are two teams that are going to be very, very, very serious in the Eastern Conference, the Knicks and the Celtics. So, out the gate, both of those teams made their presence known. Now, the highlight that I did just see right now, um, that was pretty interesting as well, to be honest with you. The Houston Rockets and the Minnesota Timberwolves. What stood out for me before anything else was how well Karl Towns looked. That man looks like somebody else. The way he was running the floor is the exact type of conditioning I've been waiting for him to show me since he came into the league. I've never felt Karl Towns really took the weight room seriously starting his career. He just kind of felt that his length and his size would be good enough to kind of just carry him. But I wanted to see him really become a workout warrior. Now, obviously, over the last 2-3 years, he's gone through some stuff just unimaginable. So, you give him a pass for anything that's been going on as of late. But he had a good off season. He seems to have settled down to some things in his life. Seems like he's kind of healing and things of that nature. And what I see is a man who's taking his off season very seriously in terms of taking care of his body, and it's translating. The way he was running out there with the ball in his hands, it was one play he ran, he snatch and go, dunked it himself. The way he was running the ball, he looked like somebody else, man. I've never seen Carl stride like that. If he's going to continue to put in the work in terms of speed running like that and learning his muscles in that way and getting better in that way, Look out. Look out. Look out. He's about to bring himself back into the conversation of the best center in the league. I know he has that type of talent. He's gotten lost behind Jokic in his ability to facilitate, and Joel Embiid in his overall size and grace. But Karl Towns, and I'm saying this, he's a 7-foot Ray Allen. He shoots the three better than any center that's ever played the game, in my opinion. He's starting to find his conditioning. Now that that's coming around, he's gonna leapfrog some people. There's some people that are ahead of him that won't stay that way if he continues to work on his body in the way that he looks like he did this offseason. I know for a fact that he's greater than we've seen, and now that he has some horses around him, Karl Towns is going to be a different player, I think, going forward. Anthony Edwards is as good as I thought he was. He continued doing the stuff that I know he can do, which is get hot and stay hot. He has a very special gift as it pertains to that very thing. When he starts seeing the ball fall, his confidence makes it so that the basket seems to get wider for him. The more he shoots and the more he sees it go in, the more efficient he becomes. I don't know how great he could be, but with that type of attribute this early, overreacting isn't too far out of one's idea, in terms of saying what type of player he can be. But the thing about it is, overall, just the field, everybody, we have to raise our level of expectations for what greatness actually is, because the game itself is evolving and each player individually is just better than what you would have found in the past. Plus the game style allows for them to put up bigger numbers. So in my opinion, you're going to see unprecedented numbers from these superstars that are coming into this league right now. These guys are just better, man. They're just better than their predecessors. And I know that's not going to be a very popular thing to say, but yeah, the best basketball we've ever seen is going to be basketball we haven't seen yet. Just stuff telling you the best is yet to come. I can just see it now, the type of metrics these kids have, the type of hyper efficiency we're finding, the type of athleticism, next level athleticism that's coming into the league. It is crazy. And Anthony Edwards is no exception. Another player that stood out for the Minnesota Timberwolves was Josh Okogie. He looked really good out there. His conditioning is where it needs to be. He did the things that I like seeing him do. Jaden McDaniels, he looked great out there. He picked up right where he left off. Looks fantastic. So this Minnesota team, I'm super excited about them, man. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. They look like a playoff team right now. D'Angelo Russell's conditioning looks fantastic as well. That was very noteworthy. He looks like he's in the best shape of his career, which is very, very important, because that's all it is for him. Conditioning, just like Karl. If those three players all have healthy seasons, Minnesota is making the playoffs. There is no question in my mind. If they have a healthy trio of stars, they're going to get through a weaker than normal Western Conference. It's going to happen. They'll make it. So it's going to be about that, health for them. And on the Rockets side of the game, they got blown out. They're a young team. Very first game, most of the players on that floor are teenagers. You know what I mean? They've never been in this situation. But what I can say that stood out for that Houston Rockets team for me personally was just the playmaking ability of Jalen Green. Some of those athletic plays that he created for others just by drawing and kicking and slashing to the basket and kicking and stuff like that. They didn't say that he was a great playmaker when they were looking into, talking about him in draft night and all that. They talked about his scoring ability, they talked about his athleticism and all of that. But what I'm seeing is a player who can make other people better as well. The potential for him to be able to be a point guard someday or be a triple-double threat is there. He likes making plays for others. And because he's so hyper-athletic, so fast, and can cover so much space so quickly, and so slithery, I guess you could say, with his skinny frame and his ability to just move and be in places as he wants to be, almost teleport from one spot to another pretty much. Because he has that super athleticism, his playmaking potential is much greater than it's being advertised to be. That's what I'm telling you. He can do things with the basketball, with his ball handling, and all of that I just said. That will he'll create plays for big, sort of like Russell Westbrook does, with his ability to just create so much attention with how quick he moves and with how much intensity he moves with. The defenses are going to react to that guy, and because of it, there will be opportunities for him to make plays that you won't see other people be able to make at that shooting guard position at his size. He's just a different kind of guy. He reminds me of a Penny Hardaway kind of out there tonight. He reminds me of that kind of guy. I don't want to speak out of turn because I didn't see enough of Grant Hill, but he kind of reminded me of highlights I used to see of Grant Hill, that kind of thing. He was just doing a little more than what he's projected to do. So I love what the Houston Rockets are doing there with him, putting the ball in his hands, letting him create for others. And so that's one thing that I really liked out there. KPJ struggled tonight. Kevin Porter Jr. I wasn't able to really make out what was going on there with his debut tonight with this team for this season, but it wasn't his greatest game at all. Don't know what happened. Sengun looked great. They're going to have to give him more minutes, but of course they got Daniel Tice, who also looked great. So it's going to be kind of hard for Sengun to get his minutes. I didn't see Josh Christopher out there enough. I'm pretty sure he'll find his way into rotation very soon. So they got plenty of talent. Like I said, Houston's one of my favorite teams, young teams ever assembled, period. So it's not about this year for them. We're looking at them saying 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years down the road. That's when you're looking at the Houston Rockets. But as of right now, I love what they have too. Christian Wood looked great. That two-hand slam, as I told y'all he was going to do, he's going to dunk on you whether you're under there or not. So definitely look for Christian Wood to start making all-star teams at some point very soon. So that's something that stood out. I wanted to make sure I mention that. And also, I didn't see highlights of this game just yet, but I know Charlotte had a huge comeback on the Pacers tonight. Big-time game there from just about everybody. But LaMelo Ball led the charge, I think, and they had a huge run in the third quarter, I believe it was, where they came back from like 28-9 or something like that. It was a huge run. LaMelo Ball kind of spearheaded. So pay attention to that Charlotte team because they're the team that got blown out something fierce in the summer league. They were blown out by like 60 points. So they're already a very intriguing team to pay attention to. Plus, Miles Bridges did not get his extension. He is not happy about that. So I'm looking to see what happens with Miles Bridges because he's yet another player who may not necessarily be very happy right now. So that's something I'm paying attention to. There was something going on in that Charlotte game. Chris Duarte got off to a very good start to his rookie season on the road against Charlotte. I hear he had like 26 points, shot the ball very well. So that's a rookie I'm paying attention to. He should have a good role with the Pacers. Brogdon went off. Sabonis went off. Those guys had really good games. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff I've been able to pay attention to thus far. Gonna watch some more highlights, of course, and if there's more to say, I'm sure there will be. I'll get right back to y'all and give y'all an update on those findings. But that's what I got so far, man. My name's BDF44. Thank y'all for watching. I'm out.